Kayla adjusted the straps of her training pack and looked around the bustling academy courtyard. Ships of all shapes and sizes hovered in docking bays, their engines humming softly like a distant heartbeat. Cadets from dozens of species moved with purpose, some in squads, some alone, but all carrying an air of confidence, or in some cases, arrogance. She had been told to expect this. The academy was a proving ground where only the strongest survived, and Kayla came from a world that had taught her what strength truly meant. Her home, a death world orbiting a storm-racked star, was a place where survival was a daily battle. The storms alone could shred metal and flesh in seconds, and the wildlife had teeth, claws, and intelligence that made even the most experienced hunters wary. Kayla had grown up navigating that chaos, learning to move faster than any predator and to think several steps ahead, even when her heart raced. Her species might be human, small by the standards of many interstellar races, but she carried a resilience they rarely expected. As she stepped onto the academy grounds, Kayla immediately noticed the stairs. Tall, multi-limbed aliens with scales and fur and strange, reflective eyes watched her carefully. A few whispered in their own languages, glancing at one another and then back at her. She ignored them. Experience had taught her to read threats without needing words. Some of these cadets were stronger, taller, and faster in raw muscle. But raw strength without skill, without instinct, meant very little. Her first class was a combat orientation session, held in a massive hall that looked more like a shipyard than a classroom. The walls were lined with holographic displays showing various martial techniques, environmental hazards, and simulated threats from other cadets. Kayla's instructor, a grizzled alien named Jorath with 4 arms and eyes that seemed to see every mistake before it happened, gave a brief overview. "Today you will learn to survive in close quarters," Jorath said, his voice deep and metallic. "You will be paired with others. Cooperation is optional. Survival is mandatory." During a short break, as cadets milled about and tested the training equipment, a group of 4 alien cadets approached her. They were large, all standing well over 7 feet tall, muscles rippling beneath patterned skin. The leader, a horned alien with bright yellow eyes, spoke first. "You're the human." His voice carried a mix of amusement and scorn. "We heard your kind doesn't last more than a week here. We'll help you understand why humans are weak," another said, showing sharp, ridged teeth in a grin that didn't reach his eyes. Kayla tilted her head slightly, her eyes scanning their movements, reading the tension in their shoulders, the way their weight shifted. A part of her almost smiled. They thought this would be easy. They didn't know her world. They didn't know her. Before she could say more, the leader lunged. The others followed, a blur of motion faster than a human eye could fully track. But Kayla's instincts were faster. Years of running from storms, predators, and hostile terrain sharpened her reflexes to a razor edge. She stepped aside, using their momentum against them, and in a series of precise, fluid movements, she neutralized the first attacker without striking with full force. Her goal wasn't to hurt them badly, just to prove a point. The second cadet swung a heavy arm, trying to catch her off guard, but Kayla twisted and used a small handhold on a nearby wall to propel herself behind him. A quick sweep of her leg and he stumbled, landing in a padded corner of the hall with a grunt. Too more advanced, too more experienced than she was supposed to be able to handle alone, but Kayla moved with a calmness that surprised even her. She didn't panic, she assessed. She anticipated. She acted. The leader tried to recover and grabbed a metal training rod, swinging it with all his strength. Kayla ducked and rolled under him, letting his momentum carry him past her and into a stack of soft training mats. He crashed into the pile, groaning as the mats absorbed most of the impact. Kayla didn't stop. She caught the third cadet mid-lunge, twisting his arm and redirecting him into the side wall. He collapsed onto the floor, stunned but not seriously hurt. The fourth cadet, hesitant now, paused for just a fraction too long. Kayla didn't give him a chance to think. In a single motion, she sidestepped, grabbed his wrist, and used a controlled push to send him sprawling into a padded training obstacle. He hit the ground hard enough to let him know he had underestimated her, but not hard enough to cause permanent damage. By the time it was over, all 4 were groaning in the corner, rubbing sore muscles, while Kayla stood straight, breathing calmly. 12 seconds, that was all it took. The hall had gone silent. Every cadet present, human and alien alike, watched her wide-eyed. The rumor of the Deathworlder had been true, and then some. Kayla adjusted her pack again and gave a slight nod, acknowledging the silent stares. "Don't underestimate humans," she said quietly. No one laughed. No one argued. They were too stunned. Instructors rushed over, checking the injured cadets while other cadets whispered among themselves. Kayla didn't move, she didn't gloat, she simply returned her attention to the next drill. In the chaos of survival, she knew pride could be a weakness. Calm, control, and observation were what mattered. By the end of the day, word had spread across the academy. The human cadet from the Deathworld had proven she was not to be trifled with. Alien cadets approached cautiously, some with curiosity, others with respect, but all aware that a new standard had been set. Kayla noticed them but remained focused on learning, analyzing each new opponent, each strategy, each potential trap. She realized quickly that survival wasn't just about strength. It was about reading intent, predicting behavior, and acting faster than anyone expected. Her training on her home planet had been brutal, yes, but it had prepared her for this. While others trained with brute force, she trained with her mind and her instincts, making her unpredictably dangerous. That evening, Kayla stood on the balcony of her quarters, looking out at the stars beyond the academy. Ships blinked in the distance, lights of distant worlds, each with its own threats, its own dangers. She thought of the 4 cadets in the infirmary and smiled faintly. This was only the beginning. Somewhere in the galaxy, humans were underestimated at every turn. That had always been the case. But Kayla knew something important. The galaxy had not yet seen what humans were truly capable of, and she intended to make sure they would. She clenched her fists lightly, not in anger but in determination. Each scar, each bruise, each struggle she had endured on her Deathworld had led her here. Every disadvantage, every whispered doubt, every moment of being underestimated was fuel for her. She didn't need to prove humanity's worth to anyone but herself, but the universe would find out anyway. As Kayla drifted off to sleep that night, she dreamt of drills, combat simulations, and distant battlefields. In her dreams, she moved faster, struck harder, and outsmarted every opponent. It was not arrogance, it was preparation. The academy had thrown its first challenge at her, and she had met it with speed, skill, and composure. Tomorrow would bring new lessons, new opponents, and new surprises. But Kayla was ready. Her instincts were honed. Her mind was sharp. Her body was trained for the extremes. And her heart, well, her heart beat with the knowledge that humans might be underestimated, but underestimation could be deadly for anyone who made that mistake. The stars outside her window shimmered with distant potential, and Kayla allowed herself a small smile. In this galaxy full of alien strength and alien arrogance, one human from a Deathworld had already made her mark, and she had only just arrived. The academy buzzed with whispers long before Kayla arrived for the next morning's drills. News of her 12-second victory over 4 alien cadets had spread like wildfire. Some cadets stared with awe, others with thinly veiled resentment, but all knew she had done something remarkable. Even the instructors were murmuring about the human cadet from the Deathworld, how someone so small could dominate seasoned fighters so quickly. Kayla walked through the courtyard, moving deliberately among the clusters of cadets. She ignored the stares, the whispers, and the pointed glances. They had underestimated humans, and she did not intend to give them the satisfaction of seeing her gloat. Every step, every glance, every small adjustment of her posture was calculated. She was learning as much from the reactions of others as from the drills themselves. A group of cadets, clearly the friends of the 4 she had incapacitated, lingered near the training hall entrance. Their eyes followed her, narrow and cold. Kayla noticed their tension immediately. They were sizing her up, wondering if they could catch her off guard. She allowed herself a small, almost imperceptible smile. Let them try. Inside the training hall, the instructors were already preparing for the day's exercises. Jorath, the 4-armed alien with the piercing gaze, looked up as Kayla entered. His eyes lingered on her just a moment longer than necessary, and Kayla recognized a flicker of approval there. She had passed the first test, but she knew the academy had only just begun to measure her potential. The drills for the morning were simple on the surface, teamwork and coordination exercises. Teams of cadets were paired together, each team facing simulated environmental hazards, obstacles, and opponents. On the human scale, it seemed almost trivial. But Kayla understood that these exercises tested more than raw strength. They tested intelligence, observation, and adaptability. Her assigned teammates were 2 alien cadets. Lauren, a slender, winged species known for incredible speed but low endurance, and Trask, a bulky, armored species with massive strength but slow reflexes. Both were competent fighters, and neither had forgotten her reputation from the day before. Their initial hesitation was evident. They were cautious, and Kayla could see their calculations forming in their eyes. As the exercise began, cadets moved quickly through the simulated Deathworld terrain projected around them. Rocks that could shift suddenly, jagged terrain, and holographic predators sprang to life in unpredictable patterns. Many teams struggled immediately, failing to coordinate or panicking when the predators moved faster than expected. Kayla, however, adapted instinctively. She moved with precision, using her small size to her advantage, slipping through tight spaces and guiding her teammates through the simulation. Lauren darted ahead, wings catching the light of the holographic sun. She moved too fast for her own good, nearly colliding with a sudden obstacle. Kayla intercepted, grabbing her shoulder lightly and redirecting her path. "Slow down," she said calmly. "Speed is useful, but control is essential. Watch your footing and read the terrain." Lauren blinked at her, surprised by the human's insight. Trask, meanwhile, tried to force his way through a narrow passage, misjudging his size and the timing required. Kayla stepped in, lightly guiding him aside and whispering, "Timing matters more than strength here. Use the environment, not just your power." Trask grunted but followed her advice. The team began to move as a unit, coordinated and careful. They avoided traps, outmaneuvered the predators, and adapted to shifting terrain. Other cadets noticed. Aliens who had once doubted Kayla now whispered to one another, watching as the human from a Deathworld not only survived, but excelled in a challenge designed to test them all. Halfway through the exercise, the real test began. The holographic predators were replaced by live opponents, cadets from other teams, ready to engage in combat simulations with full intensity. The 4 cadets from yesterday's encounter approached subtly, positioning themselves to ambush Kayla. Their strategy was clear. They had underestimated her once, but they would not repeat that mistake. They would strike together, hoping to corner her in the shifting terrain. Kayla sensed their movements before they made them. Her instincts, honed by years surviving storms and predators on her homeworld, triggered a deep awareness of her surroundings. She glanced at Lauren and Trask, signaling them without words. They adjusted their positions instinctively, following her lead. The ambush began. The first cadet lunged at Kayla, aiming to force her into a corner. She sidestepped, twisting her body in a controlled motion, letting his momentum carry him past her. A quick push redirected him into a soft barrier, leaving him off balance but unharmed. The second cadet struck simultaneously, swinging with precision. Kayla ducked, rolled, and used the nearby wall to propel herself behind him, tripping him lightly to the ground. Lauren and Trask were ready. Lauren's speed allowed her to intercept another cadet mid-lunge, sending him sliding past Kayla with a winged sweep. Trask used his bulk to shield Kayla from a final attacker, forcing him to redirect into a padded trap. Together, they moved seamlessly, a human guiding alien strength and agility with uncanny precision. By the time the ambush ended, all 4 cadets were groaning, caught in padded corners or training obstacles. The hall went quiet once again, all eyes on Kayla. 12 seconds had passed in the previous encounter, and this one had been nearly identical in speed and efficiency. The message was clear. The human cadet from the Deathworld was not a threat to be underestimated. The instructors approached, nodding in approval. Jorath's eyes lingered on her with that same quiet respect. "Excellent work," he said. "You adapt quickly and lead intuitively. Keep observing and coordinating. This is the mark of a true cadet." She had not intended to humiliate them, only to survive and maintain her advantage. But survival often carried consequences. The alien cadets would not forget this, and many would harbor resentment. The rest of the day passed in a blur of drills, lessons, and strategy sessions. Kayla absorbed every detail, noticing patterns in alien behavior, environmental hazards, and tactical responses. She understood that strength alone would not carry her through the academy. Intelligence, observation, and adaptability were equally crucial. During lunch, she sat alone at a corner table, reviewing the morning's exercises in her mind. Other cadets approached cautiously, some curious, others wary. A few younger humans nodded at her quietly, expressing admiration without words. Kayla nodded back, acknowledging them. Leadership often began with quiet respect rather than loud declarations. A group of instructors approached, led by Jorath. He motioned for Kayla to follow. She complied, curious. They walked through a quieter section of the academy, away from the main hall. "You have talent," Jorath said, his voice low. "Not just physical talent, but strategic thinking. Few cadets understand the importance of observation and adaptation at your level. And you will face challenges designed to push you beyond instinct. And remember, strength alone is not enough. Leadership, strategy, and awareness will define your success. The Academy had already shown her both admiration and resentment. She realized that reputation was a double-edged sword. Some would respect her, others would plot against her. She would need to stay vigilant, always ready to anticipate the next challenge. Evening drills brought a final test, individual combat simulations against unpredictable opponents. Kayla entered the arena with her heart steady, her mind focused. The holographic terrain shifted beneath her feet, forcing rapid adjustments. Opponents approached from multiple directions. She moved with precision, her instincts guiding her through each strike, each dodge, each countermove. The exercise ended with her standing alone, unscathed, while others lay sprawled or tangled in the environment. Silence hung in the air again, heavy with unspoken recognition. Kayla had proven once more that humans could survive and even dominate in conditions that alien species often assumed would overwhelm them. That night, Kayla sat on the edge of her bunk, reviewing the day in her mind. Every movement, every decision, every counter had been a lesson. She realized that surviving the academy would require more than raw skill. It would demand constant observation, quick thinking, and the ability to remain calm under pressure. She allowed herself a small smile. The academy had tested her. She had adapted. And tomorrow would bring new challenges, new opponents, and new opportunities to prove what humans were capable of. For now, she rested. The galaxy could underestimate humans all it wanted. But Kayla knew one thing with certainty: underestimation was dangerous. And she intended to show the Academy and the universe just how dangerous a human could be. The day began with an unusual tension in the air. Kayla noticed it the moment she stepped into the Academy courtyard. Cadets whispered in clusters, their eyes flicking toward her as she passed. Some were impressed, others suspicious, and a few openly hostile. The 4 cadets from the Infirmary had returned, nursing sore muscles and bruised pride, and they were not alone. Their friends and allies had joined them, forming a small group of watchers whose eyes followed Kayla with a mixture of curiosity and resentment. Kayla ignored them. Experience on her death world had taught her that those who underestimated you were often the most dangerous. Their stares meant nothing if she didn't give them the reaction they sought. She focused on her own movements, keeping her posture relaxed but alert, her senses ready for any sudden challenge. Today's exercises were different. The instructors had announced a tactical assessment designed to test not only combat skill but also strategic thinking under pressure. Teams would navigate a simulated urban environment, facing obstacles, ambushes, and unexpected challenges. The exercise promised to reveal not just individual ability, but leadership, quick thinking, and adaptability. Kayla's assigned teammates for this exercise were a mix of species. Lauren, the fast-winged cadet, and Trask, the bulky armored cadet, would work with her again. They were joined by Rena, a telepathic alien capable of sensing intent, and Vor, a reptilian cadet known for exceptional strength. The combination was volatile. Different species, different fighting styles, and different approaches to strategy. Coordination would be a challenge. The simulation began in a large hall designed to mimic a dense cityscape. Buildings, narrow alleys, and rooftops created vertical and horizontal challenges. The instructors activated moving obstacles, simulated fires, and holographic opponents scattered throughout the area. The environment was unpredictable, requiring constant attention and adaptability. Kayla immediately assessed the situation. She observed the terrain, her teammates, and potential threats. She moved with a calm precision, positioning herself to guide her team while remaining ready to react. Lauren took to the air, scouting ahead while Trask and Vor covered the ground. Rena floated slightly behind, sensing the intentions of nearby cadets. Almost immediately, they encountered a team of alien cadets lying in ambush. The moment was tense. Kayla's mind raced, calculating options and predicting the actions of both her teammates and opponents. "Move left," she called quickly, gesturing toward a narrow alley. "Trask, cover the entrance. Lauren, provide aerial support. Vor, hold the center. Rena, watch for sudden moves." Another opponent swung a heavy rod, but Kayla ducked and rolled, letting his momentum carry him past her while she moved behind him to apply a controlled push, sending him stumbling into a padded obstacle. Lauren swooped in from above, wings catching the light of the simulated sun, intercepting an attacker and flinging him past Kayla's path. Trask used his bulk to block a narrow passage, forcing another opponent to retreat. Vor held the center, using his strength to redirect anyone attempting to breach their formation. Rena, sensing intent, warned Kayla of sudden attacks, allowing her to anticipate strikes before they arrived. By the end of the first encounter, the opponents were subdued, some tangled in obstacles, others retreating in frustration. Kayla's team moved as a unit, seamless and coordinated, a human guiding alien abilities with clarity and precision. The instructors watched with interest. Jorath, standing with crossed arms, nodded once, a subtle sign of approval. Kayla's reputation had grown beyond the whispered rumors of her first victory. She was now a cadet to be observed, analyzed, and respected. But the exercise was far from over. The environment shifted rapidly. Simulated fires spread through alleyways, holographic debris fell from buildings, and new opponents appeared from unexpected directions. The urban battlefield was chaotic, and many teams struggled to adapt. Panic set in for some, leading to mistakes, collisions, and failed objectives. Kayla's team, however, moved methodically, responding to each change with logic and speed. In one particularly dangerous moment, a rooftop collapsed, sending debris into the alley below. Lauren was caught in the fall, her wings tangled briefly in the wreckage. Kayla reacted instantly, leaping forward to grab her teammate and pull her clear before the debris hit. In the same motion, she redirected an approaching opponent into a wall, neutralizing him efficiently. Trask and Vor adjusted, creating a barrier to prevent additional threats from reaching them. The scene drew gasps from other cadets and instructors alike. Kayla's actions demonstrated more than raw skill. They revealed instinct, awareness, and leadership under extreme pressure. Even the most skeptical observers could not deny her talent. After the immediate danger passed, Kayla led her team through the remaining sections of the simulation. They encountered traps designed to test cooperation, strategic thinking, and split-second decision-making. At every turn, Kayla's calm and methodical approach guided them. Her instructions were clear, precise, and timely, allowing her team to respond effectively and avoid unnecessary mistakes. As the exercise concluded, Kayla's team completed the course with minimal errors and no casualties, a feat that impressed the instructors. The other cadets finished later, many stumbling or failing sections entirely. The difference was clear. Kayla's human intuition, honed on a Deathworld, gave her an edge that raw alien strength alone could not match. The aftermath was immediate. Cadets whispered as she walked through the halls, some in admiration, others in jealousy. Kayla noticed subtle changes in behavior. Some alien cadets approached with caution, testing the waters before speaking. Others lingered in groups, eyeing her with suspicion or resentment. The academy was a complex web of social dynamics, and Kayla understood that her actions had altered the balance. During a break, Kayla found herself approached by a young human cadet named Taryn, who had been observing her closely. "You're amazing," he said quietly, his eyes wide. "How do you do it? They're all so much bigger than you, and you move like you can see everything before it happens." "I don't rely on strength alone. I pay attention to patterns, anticipate actions, and adapt quickly. That's what keeps me alive." That's where most cadets fail. She noticed that the academy valued not only skill but social navigation, knowing who to ally with, who to avoid, and how to assert influence without causing unnecessary conflict. By evening, Kayla returned to her quarters, mentally exhausted but focused. The day had shown her that her physical skill was no longer her only advantage. Leadership and intelligence were just as crucial. She began reviewing her movements, analyzing where she had succeeded and where she could improve. Each scenario, each encounter, each decision was an opportunity to refine her instincts and sharpen her strategies. That night, Kayla's thoughts turned to the cadets who had ambushed her the day before and again today. Their hostility was predictable, but it would grow more dangerous if left unchecked. She knew that some would challenge her reputation, possibly in ways beyond training exercises. She needed to anticipate these challenges, prepare for them, and use every advantage she possessed. Sleep came fitfully. Her mind replayed every movement, every decision, every counter. In her dreams, she moved through endless simulations, encountering opponents of increasing skill and cunning. Each time she adapted, overcame, and emerged victorious. It was not fantasy, it was training, a rehearsal for the inevitable challenges ahead. When she awoke, Kayla felt a renewed sense of purpose. The academy was more than a school. It was a proving ground, a place where every mistake could be costly. But it was also a place where humans could excel, where underestimation could become a weapon. And Kayla intended to wield it masterfully. Her first encounter of the morning confirmed her suspicions. The cadets who had once ambushed her were waiting, not to strike immediately, but to observe. Their movements were calculated, testing her reactions, looking for weakness. Kayla walked among them calmly, aware of every subtle shift in posture and gaze. She ignored their silent challenges, focusing instead on the details they overlooked, the weight of their steps, the angles of their attacks, the gaps in their coordination. In the exercises that followed, Kayla's reputation preceded her. Opponents hesitated, unsure how to approach her. Some underestimated her, as they had initially done, only to find themselves outmaneuvered, redirected, or temporarily subdued. Others approached cautiously, observing patterns and trying to anticipate her moves. But Kayla had already accounted for unpredictability. Her adaptability gave her the edge. By midday, instructors called a halt to the exercises. Cadets were exhausted, bruised, and mentally taxed. Kayla, however, remained alert, analyzing every detail, learning from every outcome. She understood that survival in the academy required more than reflexes. It required strategy, observation, and control over both self and situation. As she returned to her quarters, Kayla noticed a group of instructors observing her from a distance. One of them, a tall alien with multiple eyes, nodded subtly. Another made notes on a tablet, tracking her performance. The recognition was quiet but unmistakable. Kayla had proven herself not just to cadets, but to those who evaluated potential, those who decided who would rise and who would fail. The evening brought a briefing for the next day's exercise. Cadets would face a complex simulation designed to test teamwork under extreme pressure. Kayla listened carefully, noting potential challenges, hazards, and opportunities. She began planning in her mind, preparing strategies, predicting obstacles, and considering how to guide her team effectively. Lying on her bunk later, Kayla reflected on the day. The academy was not merely testing skill, it was testing character, intelligence, and adaptability. She had passed the initial challenges, but she knew the hardest trials were yet to come. Every cadet would attempt to challenge her, every obstacle would test her limits, and every decision could shift her position in the social hierarchy of the academy. But Kayla was ready. She had survived storms, predators, and unrelenting hardships on her homeworld. The academy's challenges were different, but they were no less significant. And she would meet them with the same precision, focus, and resilience that had brought her this far. For Kayla, the academy was a battlefield of both skill and mind. And in every encounter, she proved that humans, underestimated as they were, could adapt, survive, and even dominate. The morning air was thick with anticipation. Kayla could feel it the moment she stepped onto the academy's central training grounds. Today's exercise was different. The instructors had promised a simulation designed to push every cadet to their limits. Extreme terrain, unpredictable hazards, and opponents who were skilled, fast, and relentless. It was the kind of test that would separate those who were good from those who were exceptional. The ground beneath her feet shifted slightly as holographic terrain activated. Rocks, narrow ledges, and simulated toxic fog rose from the floor. The air shimmered with heat and simulated storms, creating an environment designed to challenge both reflexes and strategic thinking. Other cadets stared at the complex landscape, some nervously adjusting their equipment. Kayla, by contrast, observed calmly, taking in every detail, every obstacle, and every possible route. Her team for this simulation was the same as before: Lauren, Trask, Rena, and Vor. Each had unique strengths, and Kayla knew that their combined abilities, coordinated correctly, could make them unstoppable. She signaled silently, positioning them for optimal advantage. Lauren took the high ground, Trask and Vor held the center, and Rena stayed slightly behind, sensing threats and relaying warnings. Kayla herself moved along the central path, eyes sharp, instincts tuned to anticipate attacks. As the simulation began, holographic predators sprang to life, moving unpredictably. Some were programmed to mimic real alien predators, fast and cunning. Others were drones designed to strike with precision, testing reflexes and adaptability. Kayla moved quickly but with control, guiding her team through the chaos. The first challenge came in the form of a collapsing bridge over a deep pit. Lauren was the first to reach it, wings flaring as she tried to cross. Kayla spotted a weak point in the bridge's structure and shouted a warning. Lauren adjusted midair, landing safely on the far side. Trask and Vor followed carefully, balancing their bulk with controlled steps. Kayla was last, leaping over the collapsing section with a single fluid motion, landing lightly on solid ground. The instructors watching from above murmured among themselves. Most cadets would have panicked. Kayla and her team adapted instantly. The next obstacle was more dangerous. A simulated chemical fog filled a narrow canyon, reducing visibility to almost zero. Holographic predators moved silently through the mist, their presence barely perceptible until they struck. Kayla adjusted her approach. She signaled Rena to sense the predator's intent, then guided Lauren to scout the edges. Trask and Vor followed her instructions, creating a moving wall of protection. An ambush occurred almost immediately. Two holographic predators lunged from the fog, faster than the eye could track. Kayla sidestepped one, redirecting it into a holographic barrier, while Lauren intercepted the other mid-flight, sending it sliding harmlessly past her. Trask used his bulk to block a narrow exit, preventing additional threats from reaching them, while Vor struck a quick, calculated blow to push a predator off balance. By the end of the fog section, Kayla's team had neutralized every threat without a single injury. Cadets watching from the sidelines whispered in disbelief. Adaptability, observation, and leadership were clearly giving humans an edge the alien cadets did not expect. The simulation continued with increasing difficulty. Holographic fires erupted unpredictably, forcing cadets to navigate dangerous routes. Falling debris required precise timing, and sudden shifts in terrain tested agility and balance. Many cadets struggled, failing sections repeatedly. Kayla's team moved as one, each member aware of their role and responding instantly to her guidance. Halfway through the simulation, a real challenge appeared. A group of elite cadets, some of the same ones who had ambushed her previously, had been placed in the simulation to test her directly. They were fast, cunning, and coordinated, working together to trap Kayla and her team. Kayla's eyes narrowed. She had anticipated this possibility. Using her knowledge of their previous attacks and weaknesses, she adjusted her team's formation. Lauren flanked from above, Trask and Vor blocked the center and edges, and Rena monitored intent, signaling sudden movements. Kayla herself moved unpredictably, drawing attention, creating openings, and redirecting attacks with precision. The ambush was intense. The elite cadets struck from multiple angles, testing Kayla's reflexes and her team's coordination. One lunged at her directly, swinging a heavy rod. Kayla sidestepped, letting momentum carry him into a soft barrier. Another tried to block Lauren's aerial strike but misjudged her speed, falling past Kayla's reach. Trask and Vor held their positions perfectly, intercepting every additional threat. Within moments, the elite cadets found themselves outmaneuvered. Kayla's human instincts, combined with strategic guidance, allowed her team to control the battlefield. The instructors observing the simulation exchanged surprised glances. Humans had been underestimated for generations, and Kayla's performance was proving why. After the ambush, the simulation escalated further. Sections of the terrain began to collapse, forcing rapid movement and careful planning. Simulated predators became more aggressive, and environmental hazards appeared in unexpected patterns. Cadets who panicked fell behind, some failing entirely. Kayla, however, guided her team with calm precision, anticipating threats and adapting instantly to changes. At one point, a section of the terrain shifted dramatically, sending a large holographic boulder tumbling toward the team. Lauren signaled a warning, but Kayla had already calculated the trajectory. She grabbed Trask's arm, redirected Vor, and propelled herself forward, pushing both teammates out of harm's way. The boulder crashed harmlessly behind them. Even small details mattered, and Kayla's awareness allowed them to survive what could have been a fatal error. As the simulation neared its conclusion, cadets faced a final challenge, a narrow corridor filled with simulated predators and sudden traps. The pressure was intense. Mistakes would lead to failure. Kayla's team moved methodically, each member relying on her guidance. Lauren swooped overhead, distracting predators. Trask and Vor blocked paths strategically. Rena used her telepathy to detect the next attack. Kayla herself moved through the chaos like water, adjusting, redirecting, and countering at every step. By the time they reached the end, the team was unscathed, having completed the course with efficiency and skill. The instructors watching from the observation deck applauded quietly. Kayla had not only survived the simulation but had excelled, demonstrating leadership, adaptability, and the unique human ability to read and predict behavior in high-stress situations. Afterward, Kayla's performance became the subject of discussion among cadets. Some whispered in admiration, recognizing the skill and precision required to succeed. Others plotted, not from envy but from determination. They would face her again and they would try to find weaknesses. Kayla anticipated this. Rivalry was inevitable, and she had no illusions about the challenges ahead. Every victory would breed both respect and opposition. Later, during a debriefing, Jorath addressed the cadets. "Today's simulation was designed to push limits," he said. "Some of you succeeded. Others learned the importance of observation and coordination. Certain cadets stood out for their leadership and adaptability. Pay attention to these examples. Survival requires more than strength. It requires strategy, awareness, and teamwork." She had shown the potential of humans in an environment designed for maximum challenge. Her mind was already analyzing how to improve further, how to anticipate more complex threats, and how to maintain her advantage in the face of growing scrutiny. As the day ended, Kayla returned to her quarters, exhausted but focused. Her teammates followed, each showing signs of fatigue but also respect. They had experienced firsthand the guidance and calm precision that Kayla brought to every challenge. Lauren spoke quietly. "I've never worked with anyone who moves and thinks like that. You make us all better." Awareness, timing, and adaptation make us stronger than any individual advantage. But she was ready. The academy was more than a school, it was a proving ground. Cadets were tested not just for skill, but for their ability to survive, lead, and adapt. Kayla had passed this trial with distinction, proving that humans, often underestimated, could excel in extreme conditions. As night fell, she stood at the balcony of her quarters, looking out at the distant stars. The galaxy beyond was vast and full of dangers, and Kayla knew that her journey had only begun. The academy had revealed the first tests, but greater challenges awaited. Aliens underestimated humans often, and Kayla intended to make sure that underestimation came at a cost. Her thoughts returned to the cadets who had opposed her, the ones who had tried to ambush and undermine her. They would learn that humans were not only resilient, but intelligent, adaptable, and relentless. Kayla had survived storms, predators, and hardships that no ordinary cadet could endure. The academy was now a new arena, one that she would navigate with precision and skill. Tomorrow promised new exercises, new challenges, and new opportunities. Kayla felt a quiet excitement. Every test, every obstacle, every rival was an opportunity to prove her strength and the potential of humanity. Underestimation was a common mistake, and Kayla knew she would continue to use it to her advantage. For now, she allowed herself a moment of calm. The simulation had tested her, pushed her to extremes, and confirmed what she already knew. Humans could survive, adapt, and dominate when circumstances demanded it. The galaxy had not yet seen the full extent of what a human could do, but Kayla intended to show it, one precise, calculated step at a time. The morning air in the academy was electric with anticipation. Today was no ordinary drill. Today was the final evaluation, a simulation designed to test every cadet at their absolute limit. The instructors had made it clear. Failure was not only embarrassing but could affect future rankings, assignments, and reputation. For Kayla, this was the ultimate test, not just of skill, but of leadership, strategy, and endurance. As she stepped onto the observation deck, she took a deep breath, scanning the vast arena below. It was an open area transformed into a chaotic landscape of simulated terrain, from jagged cliffs to crumbling urban ruins, from rivers of holographic lava to swaths of dense fog. Environmental hazards would shift randomly, predators, both simulated and real cadets would attack without warning, and time would be limited. Every decision would count. Her team was ready. Lauren hovered above with wings poised, Trask and Vor at the center, their bulk and strength bracing the team, and Rena floating slightly behind, sensing intent and alerting them to danger. Kayla herself moved calmly to the front, the center of coordination. Her presence was quiet but commanding. Her reputation alone caused some cadets in rival teams to hesitate. They had seen her previous successes, and fear, subtle or not, began to ripple through the arena. The horn sounded, signaling the start. Immediately, the ground shifted, sending simulated boulders rolling toward the teams. Fires erupted from unexpected points, and holographic predators sprang to life, lunging with lightning speed. Many cadets panicked, falling behind, tripping over obstacles, or being taken out by the simulation's hazards. Kayla's team, however, moved with practiced precision, responding to each hazard as one unit. Kayla's eyes scanned constantly, noting every predator's trajectory, every shift in terrain, and every opponent's stance. "Lauren, take the high flank and mark movement," she called quietly but firmly. "Trask, hold the center. Vor, cover the left. Rena, monitor all else and alert immediately." They were faster, smarter, and more coordinated than any team the instructors had seen in weeks. The first wave of simulated predators approached, their speed and aggression threatening to overwhelm unprepared cadets. Kayla anticipated their path, stepping to redirect one into a soft barrier while Lauren intercepted another midair. Trask and Vor blocked strategic passages, forcing predators into predictable patterns. Rena alerted Kayla to an ambush forming in the dense fog. Kayla moved with her usual calm precision, dodging, redirecting, and countering in seamless motion. Each attack she faced was met with calculated response, each threat neutralized efficiently. Other teams faltered, but Kayla's human instinct, honed from years on her Deathworld, allowed her to predict, adapt, and survive. Her movements were almost surgical, fast, precise, and unhesitating. Halfway through the simulation, the instructors escalated the challenge. Elite cadets from other teams were introduced, acting as unpredictable opponents, testing not just reflexes but teamwork, strategy, and adaptability. Among them were the 4 cadets Kayla had bested early in her academy days, now seeking to redeem themselves. They were faster, more cautious, and better prepared, but Kayla had anticipated this. She signaled her team without hesitation, adjusting positions to maximize coverage and minimize vulnerability. Lauren moved higher, drawing attention and offering aerial advantage. Trask and Vor formed a mobile barrier, allowing Kayla to redirect incoming attacks. Rena's telepathic awareness gave early warning of hidden movements. The elite cadets attacked in coordinated waves. One lunged at Kayla with a heavy rod, aiming for her midsection. She sidestepped, letting momentum carry him past her while using a controlled push to redirect him into a soft wall. Another opponent tried to flank her from behind, but Vor intercepted, blocking the path and giving Kayla space to respond. Time and again, Kayla predicted the elite cadets' movements, countering their strikes with precise timing. Her team mirrored her efficiency, neutralizing threats without unnecessary force. Every cadet watching could see the difference between raw strength and instinct combined with strategy. Kayla was not just surviving, she was dominating. The simulation's terrain shifted again, creating new hazards. A holographic lava flow surged across the path, forcing rapid movement. Collapsing structures threatened to trap cadets, while sudden predator attacks came from unexpected directions. Many teams panicked, some failing to complete the objectives entirely. Kayla's team, however, moved as one. Every command, every adjustment, every leap and dodge was deliberate. She guided them through the chaos, turning potential disaster into an advantage. At one critical moment, a massive boulder simulated collapse toward the team. Kayla had already anticipated it. She grabbed Trask's arm, signaling him to move, while redirecting Vor and Lauren to safer positions. In a single motion, she propelled herself forward, creating a buffer between her team and the hazard. The boulder crashed harmlessly behind them. Small details mattered, and Kayla never missed a single one. The final section of the simulation was designed to test endurance and tactical judgment. Teams faced multiple simultaneous challenges. A narrow corridor filled with predators, shifting hazards on either side, and a time limit to reach the objective. Many cadets were exhausted, bruised, and mentally taxed. Kayla's team, however, had adapted to every prior challenge, and their coordination gave them an edge even under pressure. Kayla led the way, moving predictably yet unpredictably, drawing opponents into calculated positions. Lauren swooped overhead, marking threats and intercepting attacks. Trask and Vor held key points, forcing cadets and predators alike into manageable paths. Rena continued to sense intent, giving Kayla the information needed to anticipate every move. The final ambush came as expected. The elite cadets attempted a coordinated strike, aiming to overwhelm Kayla's team at the narrowest point. But Kayla had seen the pattern forming. With a series of precise, fluid movements, she redirected one opponent into a side passage, neutralized another with a controlled push, and used Lauren and Trask to intercept the remaining attackers. Within moments, the ambush was broken, the team unharmed, and the path to the objective clear. As Kayla and her team crossed the final checkpoint, the horn sounded, signaling the end of the simulation. The instructors exchanged impressed glances, murmuring quietly. Kayla had completed the ultimate test not just with skill but with mastery. Her team had survived and excelled, demonstrating leadership, adaptability, and the unique human ability to predict and counter the actions of others. Cadets from other teams watched in awe, their whispered conversations a mix of admiration and disbelief. Some aliens who had once underestimated humans now regarded Kayla with a mixture of respect and wariness. Rumors of her abilities would spread even further after this performance. She had proven definitively that humans, often considered weaker and slower, could not only survive but lead, strategize, and dominate in extreme conditions. The debriefing that followed confirmed it. Jorath stepped forward, his expression serious but approving. "Today's simulation tested every cadet at the highest level," he said. "Some failed, others survived. A few excelled. Human Cadet Kayla demonstrated not only skill but leadership, strategy, and adaptability. She has shown what humans are capable of when underestimated, and she has proven the value of intelligence and observation alongside raw strength." Her thoughts drifted briefly to her homeworld, to the storms and predators that had shaped her instincts, and she felt a quiet satisfaction. Everything she had endured had prepared her for this moment. Her teammates approached, their expressions a mixture of exhaustion and admiration. Lauren hovered beside her, wings relaxed. "You were incredible," she said quietly. "I've never worked with anyone like you. You make all of us better. You see intent and react before threats fully manifest. That is rare, even among the most skilled cadets." Kayla was recognized not only for surviving the ultimate simulation, but for doing so with skill and strategy that surpassed all expectations. Reports of her performance spread quickly across the campus, earning her respect, admiration, and cautious wariness from cadets who had once underestimated her. As night fell, Kayla stood on the balcony of her quarters, looking out at the stars. Ships glimmered in orbit, distant worlds waiting to be explored, challenged, and survived. The Academy had tested her, pushed her to extremes, and revealed both her strengths and the challenges that awaited. But she had met every test, guided her team, and proven that humans were more than capable in a galaxy that often assumed otherwise. Her mind drifted to the future. Rival cadets would continue to challenge her. Instructors would create new tests. The galaxy beyond the Academy was vast, full of dangers, unknown species, and conflicts that required not just strength but intelligence, adaptability, and resolve. Kayla knew she was ready. The universe had underestimated humans for generations. That underestimation would continue to be a weapon in her hands. Kayla had proven that one human, guided by instinct, intelligence, and the lessons of a harsh world, could survive, excel, and lead in conditions designed to overwhelm even the most skilled alien cadets. And this was only the beginning.